Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! It is truly unbelievable how far we have come as the Descendants and Zombies universe continues to expand. Welcome back to my channel, wherever you are in the world tonight. Thank you so much for loving my channel as much as what you have, watching my videos all the time about Descendants and Zombies. I am incredibly excited, in case you already didn't know, about Descendants and Zombies 5, because it's going to be a fun time for everybody, whoever said they were a fan of Descendants and Zombies. I remember the very first time I saw Zombies. It was over 7.5 years ago, and I knew it was going to be something special. I thought Meg Donnelly was spectacular, and there were no other words I could use to describe Meg Donnelly for the profound impact and imprint she had on both my life and forever will always leave and have on my heart. Meg Donnelly was a beautiful person who believed that every dream could become a reality or could happen for anybody, and on TikTok videos she would even encourage her fans who were watching her live at the time that dreams could happen for them, even though she was going through so much. Battles of it with anxiety, depression, her mother's battle with cancer, she went through it all. And she inspired all of us through all of it, that anything could happen for us. And I give Meg Donnelly a profound amount of credit for that. And because of that, I just want Meg Donnelly to know that she's not alone, and she's going to be missed being a part of the Zombies franchise. So when news first broke that Meg Donnelly and Milo Manheim were going to sit behind the camera and offer creative direction to the new cast of Zombies, which of course was made up of Freya Skye and Malachi Burton, I have a lot to say where Malachi Burton and Freya Skye go, because I think they have fabulous futures with the Zombies franchise. Meg Donnelly to me was so special, though. From the first moment I laid eyes on her, I knew she was something special. I knew she was going to have the it factor that was really going to take Zombies to unprecedented heights. And that was seen during the PR of Zombies, when people would come out by the hundreds, thousands to see the stars of Zombies, when they only thought they could expect about 100 people at a meet and greet. But you guys certainly showed up. And you've been forever and always supportive of Zombies, and that's why Zombies has gotten to this point. And why I'm such a huge fan of it. When I saw Zombies for the first time, I might have been 25. But I knew this franchise was going to hold a special place in all of our hearts, and forever and always would. And I think that it had a lot to do with the music, and how these characters were just so lifelike, and they were so full of life and so full of exuberance. I mean, Meg Donnelly always wanted to aspire to try her hand at being a zombie, being an alien, being a werewolf, and she got the opportunity to do all of it. I was kind of looking forward to seeing her try her hand at being a vampire in the Zombies 4 Down in the Vampires movie, but of course she was focusing on passing the torch, so I guess it probably would have been pointless perhaps to see her try her hand at being a vampire. I've been a huge fan of vampire TV shows for forever. I was a huge fan of Vampire Diaries years ago, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, True Blood. I must have watched them all. Twilight was really big for me too. I read all the Twilight books. So seeing Zombies come into Disney's universe the way that it did and leave such a profound impact on all of our hearts really changed my life, and changed my life for the better, because I had the opportunity to meet and engage with all of you. And you got to believe me, it was an honor that I will never ever forget. Zombies, there's no doubt in my mind, will go down in history as being one of the most successful franchises in Disney's history. I go back to the final scene put forth by Meg Donnelly and Milo Manheim as their character Zed and Addison said goodbye to the Zombies franchise on top of that hill. It brought me back to all the time that I would spend on top of a hill in my town called Signal Hill, literally 5 minutes away from where I live. It's a beautiful place, but it brought me back to thinking about that final scene of Zombies and just how significant it was. Addison was heading off to Sheer College, Zed was heading off for a football scholarship, and I think that this was a moment that brought tears to our eyes. There were so many moments in Zombies that brought tears to our eyes, probably three perhaps. The top three that I can throw your way is when Freya Skye and Malachi Burton met each other for the first time after having seen each other in their dreams, when Zed was going to zombie out forever, and of course the biggest scene for me was the moment where we knew the torch had been passed officially at the end of the movie, when of course Zed and Addison were saying goodbye, but they did get the opportunity to spend their lives together. You know, I think going into Zombies 4 Down to the Vampires, a lot of people thought that Zed and Addison were not going to see eye to eye and they were going to break up, and bring us back to Zombies 2 when they broke up for the first time. Zombies, of course, was the introduction to Zed and Addison and how they became such good friends and eventually had one of the most beautiful relationships outside of movies like High School Musical and Hannah Montana years. I think this was one of the cutest relationships I think I've ever seen in my life. Now, a lot of people think that Freya Skye and Malachi Burton as Nova and Victor are going to top that relationship because they look adorable together. And I got that through reading down through all of your comments. I really do believe they have fabulous futures with the Zombies franchise. One can only hope. But what sort of conflict will they be faced with? Conflict, obviously, that Zed and Addison never encountered. Milo Manheim gave it away in a teaser he dropped on a TikTok live video with Meg Donnelly when he said that you could possibly see mermaids surface in Zombies 5. We don't know what the title of Zombies 5 is going to be, but one can imagine it's going to have something to do with mermaids, and I would go for that because I always believe that mermaids are beautiful creatures. I don't know about you guys, but I really do believe that mermaids are beautiful creatures, and they have so many tales, legendary tales that tie in significantly with them, going all the way back to books I've read over the years, including The Little Mermaid, and the animated classic The Little Mermaid, which premiered in 1989. I was 3 years old. So mermaids have always and forever held a special place in my heart, and I'm sure that the mermaids who will settle in Seabrook in Zombies 5 will hold a special place in my heart, along with whatever else was inside of that vortex. You know, sirens are powerful witches, and it's going to take more than just one supernatural force to overcome that. So we could see zombies, werewolves, aliens, and vampires, with aliens making the return to the franchise for the first time since Zombies 3, all the way back in 2019. It's been about 5 years since the Zombies movie was a part of the franchise. And after Zombies 3, everybody thought it was it. It was over and done with. But Disney has always been full of surprises and shocking announcements, and at D23 a few years ago they announced that Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires will be shot in New Zealand. I spent a lot of time in New Zealand covering professional wrestling, and for those of you who have never had the opportunity to be in New Zealand, it is an incredible place. And the one thing that I got from all my time in New Zealand was that the people who were a part of productions in New Zealand were incredibly happy all the time. They were happy to be around, so pleasant of a vibe I got from them. And I knew that with the Zombies cast heading over to New Zealand to shoot Zombies 4, it was going to be an incredible experience for them. And that's where we got introduced to day walkers and night walkers and the confliction with the blood fruit, which was a very interesting topic. No doubt, because I never ever thought we'd get to a point where blood fruit would be the center of conflict for the Zombies characters. I was really hoping that we were going to see some conflict with the relationships between Zed and Addison and Nova and Victor. I was really hoping that some other character was going to come in to try to take Addison away from Zed, or someone was going to come in and try to take Zed away from Addison. But we never did see that. I think we just saw the focus on, how far they would go to stay with each other for the rest of their lives. And there was, I think this movie definitely had more emotion in it than any other Zombies movie that we ever saw, because Addison would have sacrificed herself at any given moment in that movie to have stayed with Zed for the rest of her life. There's no doubt in my mind. Even if Jonathan Clarke would have been a part of the script, I think Addison would have chosen Zed hands down. But Jonathan Clarke could have came in there and caused some confliction, because he's had the biggest crush on Addison for what feels like forever. I give Milo Manheim a profound amount of credit too, even though sometimes he seems really arrogant. I give him a profound amount of credit for really bringing zombies to life in a way that no other superstar could have ever been able to do it. The duets he recorded with Addison were incredible. I think that the songs Someday, Somewhere I Belong were beautiful songs, and I think that they were some of the most powerful duets that Disney ever brought forth for a sci-fi musical. I'm not just saying it because I was a huge fan of every musical that there's ever been, such as Wicked and Sound of Music going all the way back to like 1992. I'm just saying it because the music in Zombies really hit home for me and really punched me in the heart, really got me thinking about how precious life is and how every single moment that we're given in life we can't take for granted. Because just as soon as you take it for granted, it can all be taken away from you. I think these movies definitely let us put into perspective just how precious life really is. And I think that if we could go back in time and fix all of our mistakes, Lord knows I would, because I'm far from perfect. So oftentimes when I was watching Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires, because at this point I've watched it more than once, and I'm sure all of you have. You probably watched it on repeat constantly on Disney Plus, because of course the global premiere happened on July 12th, just 24 hours after the premiere on Disney Channel a few hours later. So I'm sure you've watched it hundreds of times. Actually, July 10th was the premiere on Disney Channel, and July 11th was the premiere on Disney Plus. I was really excited about that. So at this point, I've watched it probably 100 times over, and I can honestly say that this movie and this franchise will forever and always be remembered, not just for the first 3 movies, but how significant of an impact the 4th installment had, because it opened the door for a new franchise, and new characters to be introduced, and new supernatural forces, which we have yet to encounter. Regardless of what was inside of that vortex, I think it's going to be fun for everybody, because we could see mermaids, we could see pirates, we could see sirens, we could even see witches, which we have yet to see their introduction into the Zombies franchise. Or is it just me that every single TV series having anything to do with vampires, from Twilight, which was the most successful vampire franchise of all time, to True Blood, to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Every single vampire TV series or movie has had something to do with witches and ties into witches' role in all of this for their powers and their magic. So this is going to add a magical element and make it an even more magical experience, and I'm really excited about it. When I first heard news about D23 announcing that Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires was in production, that was a while ago, I was really excited about it because I was going to get to see Meg Donnelly's character Addison be reprised once again. And even though we have seen the torch pass, there are still fans holding on to the belief that we will see Addison and Zed return to offer guidance to Freya, Skye, and Malachi Burton's characters Nova and Victor. I think we can pretty much close the door on that ever happening because they're going to sit behind the camera now and I think have the time of their life and have a greater appreciation for the development process of a movie, because there's a lot of work that goes into developing this. Hundreds, if not thousands of takes, hours of shooting it both in the daytime and the nighttime, because you know there are going to be a lot of nighttime scenes. And I had to put it out there too. Shooting nighttime scenes in New Zealand is incredibly difficult. For those of you who have never experienced it, it is incredibly difficult and very challenging. So I have a profound amount of credit to throw out and throw the way of everybody who was a part of the Zombies 4 cast for doing that in the nighttime, shooting scenes from 7 p.m. every night up until 5 a.m. the next morning. The only thing that's I've had done to me closely resembling that would be DJing in some nightclub somewhere and then going to McDonald's at 5 a.m. to get a burger after you DJ'd for like 7 or 8 hours. That's the closest closest resemblance I have to actually shooting scenes from 7 p.m. till 5 a.m. the next morning. But having said that, it is incredibly challenging. But I think it all paid off because everybody just loved Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires. And I think if you ask anybody, with the exception of the occasional critic that may be watching these videos, I think that if you were to ask anybody, Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires will forever and always hold a special place in all of our hearts because of just how much detail went behind the script. You weren't just focusing on one specific path of a relationship between Zed and Addison like you were from the original Zombies movies, but you were also focusing on a new introductory path for Freya, Skye, and Malachi Burton's characters, Victor and Nova, because this was their introductory into the Zombies franchise. And there's a huge responsibility with that being put on their shoulders because now they have to carry the torch that Milo Manheim and Meg Donnelly passed to them. And I think they're going to do a fabulous job with that because their chemistry is quite beautiful. It is quite lovely. And I'm really excited to see where we go from here because in this movie, they saw each other in their dreams ever before they encountered each other in real life. And it got me to thinking about all the relationships that I've been in and how many times I've seen a girl in my dreams that I've never had the opportunity to meet. It's actually happened for people. There are actually real-life stories and encounters of this posted online everywhere on websites that have anything to do with this. So it has really happened for a lot of people. So I would imagine that there was somebody out there watching Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires, perhaps even someone who was a part of the script when they were doing the writing process, who probably had this experience happen for them. And I know if Meg Donnelly and Milo Manheim were the producers of this, which they were, they had a significant role in how these characters came to be and how they saw each other in their dreams. It seems like a thought right out of the mind of Meg Donnelly, because Meg Donnelly's mind is incredibly gorgeous. I mean, this girl watches Bluey every night of her life before she falls asleep. And why does she watch Bluey? Because of the kind messages of Bluey. I've watched Bluey all of my life too, because I think Bluey's messages are so powerful and so heart-touching. It really touches my heart how kind Bluey is. It really touches my heart how kind SpongeBob SquarePants is, no matter how annoying and how much of an annoyance he can be to somebody. It really amazes me how incredibly kind-hearted people like SpongeBob SquarePants and Bluey have been, and how much of a profound impact they've had on hearts of celebrities such as Meg Donnelly, who oftentimes couldn't make sense of her very existence. I think Meg Donnelly did an incredible job with Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires, and I think if there ever was a moment in time where these two characters had to pass the torch to anybody, it was this time now. But I just want to go on record for saying that I am going to miss Meg Donnelly and Milo Manheim because they had such a profound impact on all of our lives. And that's more than you're going to hear from any other YouTube creator out there who devotes he or she's time to talking about Descendants and zombies. This has been so much fun for me, and I honestly don't know where I'd be without each and every one of you. So much fun, in fact, that I'm sitting on this podcast microphone tonight with some kind of congestion. I obviously have been affected by a zombie, although that has yet to be confirmed. You're going to have to forgive me for that, but Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires, it just goes to show how much profound impact it's had on all of our hearts. And believe it or not, I actually do live 5 minutes away from a soda plantation and a chemical plant that could explode. I'm sure that's been a dream of a lot of people who watch Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires, or watch the entire Zombies franchise. For me, one of my favorite Zombies movies of all time was the first Zombies movie, and my second of all-time favorite has to be Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires, because of how much detail was put behind this. It was an incredible effort to put Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires together. But the first Zombies movie really brought it to life for me in a way that I think no other movie of the franchise ever did, because it was introducing us to Zed and Addison. And I thought Addison was incredibly beautiful. She was so fearless, she was so strong, and she was unbelievably powerful. That was the thing about her character. She didn't care what anybody thought of her, and she was just unbelievably fierce and unbelievably powerful. And I think she has inspired so many people to join a gym, to become stronger, to join the cheerleading squad, because that's what Addison's character was. She aspired to be a professional cheerleader. Milo Manheim inspired to be a professional football player. Now, I wouldn't be the first guy to try out for the football team because I would never be drafted. I've had stuff to do with football organizations in the past, like the XFL, which lasted no time before they were canceled in their first season. Probably that had something to do with why I was a part of it. But I've had stuff to do with football before in years prior, and being a cheerleader and a football player is something that a lot of people aspire to do, but soon find out that it's incredibly difficult to do. So I want to send a special heartfelt thank you out to everybody who's actually made it as a cheerleader and made it as a football player, because there's a lot of mad respect coming from me for having to do that, because I know for certain I would never be able to do it. Even though I tease about wanting to go through a rigorous training regimen for the NFL, I think, or the new XFL I should say, I think that there's no chance in hell that I would ever be able to do it. So I want to send a profound thank you out to those who were fortunate enough to actually be drafted to a football team or to have made a cheerleading squad professionally. I'm going to miss Milo Manheim and Meg Donnelly, to be honest with each and every one of you, because of just how much of a profound impact they've had on my life. Because they definitely inspired us that second chances do exist. That someone should never be held down from accomplishing a dream. For instance, my dream was to have one of the best shows on YouTube. And I like to believe that I do have one of the best shows on YouTube, maybe not before, but certainly now, because of all of you subscribing to this YouTube channel. I've still got one more show to come in about an hour and a half from now. I've got 90 minutes before I have to jump back on this podcast. And I hope that each and every one of you join me for what's going to be an incredible ride tonight, as I once again talk about Descendants and Zombies as I do every day of my life. It's incredible how much of an effort I put behind these videos. There's a real creative process that goes behind these videos. And, you know, I've never ever sat down and pre-written a statement to come on this podcast with. I just speak from my heart because I feel as if that's the most effective way to do it. If you're just going to read something off a piece of paper, nobody's going to have interest in what you're saying. If I was like this, taking off my glasses and looking at a piece of paper and reading word for word, I mean, it really wouldn't put into perspective just how much profound impact Descendants and Zombies has had on my life. I know that this is an experience that I will never ever forget, regardless of where my life takes me from here on out. Because I had the opportunity to meet so many beautiful people who were such die-hard fans of Descendants and Zombies, so much so that people even have their channels on YouTube named after Descendants and Zombies. I have a lot of fans subscribe to this channel from all walks of life and all over the world, having YouTube channels devoted to Descendants and Zombies content and Zombies and Descendants creations, which is unbelievable. You know, years ago, I never ever thought that I would be sitting behind a podcast microphone and talking about Descendants and Zombies in a way that I believe it's been meant to be talked about for what must feel like forever for all of you, because I know how it goes. A lot of you probably have wanted a show and searched up a show on YouTube, or a podcast, if you would, talking about Descendants and Zombies, and the only organization that is going to go out of their way to do that for you would be the Disney company themselves, and they have yet to do it. They may devote a lot of their time to Descendants and Zombies videos on their Disney Music YouTube channel, but that's as far as they're going to go with that. Give you a tour probably once a year and a movie every 2 or 3 years. But we have to allocate time for this plot to become more decisive and for this plot to be so detailed. Because if we were having a movie for zombies released every, 3 to 4 years, it wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense, because if every year a movie was coming out, then the plot wouldn't be as detailed. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So we got to kind of allocate time for a budget to be allowed. And I think a bigger budget needs to come forth for Descendants and Zombies, because there's still much to be created. And there's so much of an inspiration left to be seen with Descendants and Zombies, because these two franchises still have a long way to go. So many supernatural creatures who have yet to see their introduction into the franchise, and still so many more fans to attract. 10 million fans is just a far cry from what it could be. 10 million fans could be 15 million fans, 15 million fans could be 20 million fans. There is still a long way to go with this. And I am really excited to see where we go from here, and I'm going to enjoy being along for the ride. And I'm not coming along for the ride to be a critic. I'm not coming along for the ride to tear these two franchises down. I'm coming along for the ride to build them back up to the point where they need to be if they haven't already got there. Because I know there are a lot of people on YouTube who criticize this time and time again every night of their life on their podcast. There are people who have spent up to 45 minutes critiquing Descendants and Zombies, and I don't want to do that. If I'm going to talk about Descendants and Zombies, I want to provide you with good quality reviews, high quality videos that interest you for the fan you are of Descendants and Zombies, so you walk away from these videos, run away from these videos, what have you, with a greater appreciation for how much profound impact Descendants and Zombies has had on all of our lives. Because I know for certain, without even having to think about it, Descendants and Zombies has had a profound impact on my life. And I honestly don't know where I'd be without the two franchises. And more importantly, and most of all, I don't know where I'd be tonight without each and every one of you. So I just simply want to say thank you so much. So if you're thinking about subscribing, if you're a first-time watcher of these videos, I think you should hit the subscribe button. Because when you hit the subscribe button on this YouTube channel, you will get what I promise you. And that is hundreds of Descendants and Zombies videos that you will have a really fun experience watching, which is more than I can say for any other YouTube creator out there who devotes he or she's time to a YouTube channel that probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense to each and every one of you. Because I remember when Zombies 4 was receiving its fair share of criticism because of the music videos. The movie had yet to premiere. Months before the premiere of the movie, the Place to Be music video premiered. And every fan of Descendants and Zombies loved the music video. It was the critics that had the issues with it. And they found everything bad they could possibly say about it and tried to tear down its credibility from the ground up. And I've been here trying to rebuild it for what feels like forever. And I couldn't have done that without each and every one of you. So I just want to say thank you so much from my heart to yours. I will be back in another 90 minutes from now to talk about Descendants and Zombies, actually less than 90 minutes from now, to issue one final video before I sign off tonight. It's been a really busy day today. A lot of stuff got in the way, so some of my videos were late, and I want to apologize for that. But there still is time to subscribe to this YouTube channel and let the world know how you feel about Descendants and Zombies. I want to say thank you to everybody who has been so lovable and so supportive of these videos. Thank you so much from all walks of life, all 8 different age demographics. Because I know that there are people who watched Descendants and Zombies who watched it when they were 16 years old when the movie first premiered, and now they're close to 24, 25. And they're just as excited as ever to watch the latest installment, the latest chapter of Descendants and Zombies become something so special. And I just want to say thank you from my heart to yours for making the stream a reality for me. Because I could be on a podcast tonight talking about something that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to everybody at 6 p.m. every night. But I'm on this show talking about Descendants and Zombies and the possibilities being greater than they ever have been of how a zombie invasion or an alien invasion could happen. I'll have more on the alien invasion, which apparently is going to happen in 114 days from now. That will bring us up to November 2025. So I guess we won't be spending Christmas together if an alien mothership is on its way to Earth to kill us all. But having said that, I'll have more on that tonight. Apparently there's 114 days remaining until the alien mothership touches down and kills us all. But I do believe the Zombies franchise has a beautiful future ahead of it. And I think that thousands, if not millions of fans have every reason to be excited about a summer 2 years from now. That may seem like a long way away, and it really is a long way from now, but that doesn't mean that we can't get there together, because I can't get there by myself, because I would just be a guy uploading videos on YouTube that would perhaps make no sense to anybody. Every night I sit behind this podcast microphone, and I've always believed one of the greatest challenges as a YouTube creator is if someone is going to watch his video or someone is going to hear his voice. And I know more than ever now that even though I suffer from a zombie infection or a vampire transition every night of my life on the graveyard shift, I have thousands of people subscribed to this YouTube channel, if not more, who watch these videos. It has been an honor of my life to be here for each and every one of you, every opportunity that I get, because there's nothing else I'd rather be doing tonight than sitting behind this podcast microphone talking about Descendants and Zombies for each and every one of you. I want you to know I love you so much from my heart to yours, and thank you so much for having made this the most enjoyable experience of my life, and one that I know that I am never ever going to forget. Thank you so much from my heart to yours. I will see you later on tonight, less than 90 minutes from now, with one final podcast, and I hope you join me for it. Always hold on to and never give up on your dreams, because giving up on your dreams really won't prove anything. But if you hold on to your dreams, a dream can go further than many of you perhaps realize. And I really don't care what that dream is, but the truest words Kylie Control ever said is that every dream can and will eventually happen for you. When, I don't know, because that's the uncertain part of a dream. But it's all about how far you go with it and how far you push that dream beyond your physical limits to achieve it. I believe in you, and my heart is with you forever and always. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for having made me the voice of Descendants and Zombies for what feels like an eternity, and forever for me. Forever and always you will hold a very special place in my heart. I guess the only thing left to be said here now is that all you got to do is stay calm and zombie on. And take it from a guy who lives near a soda plantation and a chemical plant. Anything can happen. Come to think of it, that chemical plant could explode at any given moment. Thank you so much for watching my video, finding my thumbnail, and clicking on it. My heart goes out to you tonight, wherever you are listening to my voice and watching my video tonight. Just know all you got to do is stay calm and zombie on, because that's really the only way to be, and the only way that we are going to survive in a world that's crazy on times, but makes a whole lot of sense just knowing each and every one of you are in it. Keep kindness in your heart, as I will keep you in mine, and I will return later on tonight with another Descendants and Zombies video, which I hope you will join me for.